Loves. Wow, we've been on such a ride, huh? Like, who can believe all the things that have happened in the last several weeks, right? Um, I'm Angelina Marie, and I've been immersed in my own learnings and my own growth, and really haven't had much time to share and participate, and but I'm being called to today. So, obviously, Spirit has very important messages for us. And yeah, it feels like there's so much coming to the surface. And I personally am feeling really excited with the possibility for healing and change. Um, the video that I'm doing today is something that I'm really seeing people struggling with out in the world. And it's something that I personally have had to work through and integrate and acknowledge and honor fully. And so this video is going to be about narcissism. Now, that name has a lot of negative tendencies, a lot of negativity surrounding it, and I don't want us to focus on that. There's um, no energetic resonance with it. It just is what it is, and it's something that is really connected to our root chakra, our survival center, our um, the juncture in our bodies that hold fear and inadequacies and abandonment. All those things are held in that one center, and it's coming up, and it's wonderful. It's great. Like, it's amazing that if you're feeling called to watch this video, it means that healing's wanting to happen. So let's welcome it. Let's celebrate that it's coming up. I know that with everything that's happening with our newly elected president, Donald Trump, that he's really triggering this out in the collective, and God bless him. Like, he's doing a wonderful job, and let's continue to be compassionate and empathetic for the suffering that he's going through, and in addition to that, that he is holding that energy for us as a collective for healing, just being that mirror for us. And once again, he's doing a fantastic job. So I'm going to go ahead and channel this message from Archangel Metatron for you. May it bring healing, may it bring enlightenment and growth and expansion for you, and may it help you transverse these difficult landscapes that we're being faced with at this time. So give me just a couple moments and I'll start the channeling. So So the first thing that Archangel Metatron is saying is, welcome, dear brothers and sisters. Blessings to each and every one of you. So many changes are transpiring right now on Earth, and the spiritual realm is just so excited, so grateful, so sitting at the edge of their seats, waiting for the next steps. It's like so exciting for them. And what they're saying is a lot of denser energies are coming to the surface right now, and it's really important that each and every one of us stay grounded in those in our own being, so we don't get swept away with the denser energies, the harsher energies. Something is wanting to shift in us. There's a balance wanting to happen. And so the wounded masculine has been coming up, that wounded masculine archetype that holds the energy of aggression and narcissism and lack of abundance is all coming to the surface, and it's really perfect and it's really amazing. And Archangel Metatron's talking about how we're seeing that in the world, and the Women's March that's saying we're not going to stand for this, and how peaceful it was, and how we should each be proud that we chose to be reincarnated in this time frame, in this exciting, amazing time frame. And he talks about how to hold that narcissistic energy and how to really honor it for its wisdom, honor it for the ways that we've had to survive, that it's time for us to stop denying the narcissistic energy that is occurring. So if you're feeling triggered by Donald Trump, there's a little aspect of you that's resonating with him, and it's been denied for a long time, and it's wanting to come to the surface. And Archangel Metatron's wanting me to talk about how everything that's happening out in the world is happening within us first. And it's very important to remember that. So if you're seeing Donald Trump and you're feeling triggered by his narcissism, know with total compassion and empathy that there's a part of you that is resonating with that narcissism. And I'm being guided to share my experience that I've been going through. I grew up with a narcissistic alcoholic father, and I have a codependent mother, and that's how I thought relationships were. And I had a long-term relationship that really I was playing out the codependent and narcissistic archetypes within that relationship. And when you're in that relationship, an abusive narcissistic relationship, you pick up tools, and for me personally, I definitely picked up ways that I could hurt the narcissist, and in ways that I knew would push his buttons, and ways that I knew would hurt him to his core. And we do those things. It's not just a one-way street. We need to acknowledge that. And part of this process is really seeing that out in the world, and having people come into my life that reflected that back to me. And it's about acknowledging it. One of the ways that I was able to integrate this part of myself is by realizing, all the ways that I learned how to manipulate and control in being a child and a young adult and in relationships. And there's nothing wrong with it. We must forgive ourselves. There's no shame, there's no guilt in that. Sometimes we are placed in situations, and that's the only avenue for us to get our needs met. And there is nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's precious and it's amazing, and it's something that we have to go through. And we get to a point where those archetypes aren't fulfilling anymore. And I came to a point where living in a world that was completely reality, like it was me against everyone else, and it was tit for tat, and it grew really tedious, and I became desperate. I became hopeless, and found myself in deep despair. And in those moments of despair, there's an opportunity for change that came in. And for me, through wishing that things would end and making the commitment, I realized that there's like this whole other numinous world. And what the narcissistic is feeling is the despair and hopelessness and insecurity. And they are feeling the lack of the numinous experiences, the lack of the miracles, the lack of magic. And they desperately want to believe, but they can't because their experiences, their rational mind is telling them it's not there. And for me, that was definitely true. And it took for me to decide that I refuse to live in a world where there wasn't magic, and there wasn't hope, and there wasn't true beauty. And my refusal came in the terms of being desperate and in despair and choosing to end my life. And something magical happened in that moment. And in that moment is when I first met Archangel Michael in the physical form. And he came to me and he showed me this whole other world that was possible to us. And I wanted to have that experience. I wanted to know love and abundance and infinite possibilities and trust. You know, I didn't want to leave this life without having those experiences, and I chose to come back. And it was in that moment that the universe conspired for me to have those experiences. And so when you're in those moments, and we've all had those moments, I think, we can choose to have a different experience. And I'm sharing this because I feel like it's very important that the narcissist isn't a bad person. They're a lost person. And yes, they can be very dangerous. But they're only dangerous if you're holding the unintegrated energetic resonance that matches that narcissist. So you're holding aspects of yourself that have not been integrated, that have not been healed. Once you acknowledge those parts of yourselves, and you know, me coming on speaking to you is a way that I'm acknowledging that there's narcissistic aspects in me, and that I grew up having to embrace those parts of myself to survive. And there's a lot of us that have to do that. That's why the society is the way it is right now. That's why capitalism and corporate greed is run amok. It's because a lot of people had to grow up like that. And so there's a need for us to be really compassionate with those that have had to fight and scrape their ways and fight for everything that they've ever received. And, you know, let's acknowledge that, you know, and they're not bad people. I'm not a bad person. Those of us that have had to experience those experiences are just doing the best they can and could in that moment. And the way that we work through this, which is very important, is we acknowledge our experiences, acknowledge that there's narcissistic aspects that we've had, really honor it. You know, like for me, it was sharing about some of my greatest narcissistic victories, I would say, and being proud, having some pride around holding your own in a really tough world. And then that kind of allows us to be compassionate to that self, to really have empathy for that self. And it's the compassion and empathy that helps us move out of that resonance and into a new way of being, a more relaxed way of being, a more compassionate, loving, expansive way of being. And we can kind of like, or we do move into softening and opening and letting go. And, and then when we're seeing it out in the world, then we have that softness, that compassion, that empathy that we feel for ourselves and our hearts because we've been through it and we know what it's like. And it's beautiful. It's sacred and precious, and adorable that we all had to have those experiences. So please, let's not fight those things. Let's not go out in the world and let's not slay the dragons. Let's feed them. Let's honor them. Let's care for them. Let's welcome them. And and I hope that if you have had a difficult childhood, or you find yourself in narcissistic relationships or connections, or you are feeling like that you have to take advantage of people, that you are the narcissist. Like, let's be compassionate to that place that you're in this moment. And let's look back and let's honor those times that you had to develop these tendencies, and let's let it go. You don't have to be that anymore. You can be loving and compassionate, but you can't be if you're trying to deny or suppress aspects of yourself. You have to really honor them and hold space for them and love them and welcome them because they have wisdom. And every part of us has wisdom, and every part of us is just wanting to be acknowledged, wanting to be honored, wanting to be welcomed, integrated. And that's what this whole path's about. So I hope that this video brings you so much peace, and self-compassion, self-love, self-empathy, and soothing to your sweetheart. I do personal coaching and psychic readings if you feel called. I will include my email below. Please reach out to me. And I send so many love and blessings to you today. I hope your healing path is going amazing. And please continue to dive deeper, and look at yourself. Every part of you is beautiful and amazing and perfect. And yes, I love each and every one of you. Take care of yourselves.